So let's assume I'm leaving this office building and I want to go across the street to eat at the French bakery. Normal city, I'd literally walk half a block down and I'd cross the street. So let's see how long I have to walk to reach a crosswalk. So I leave the office and the first thing you'll notice is the blazing sun. In Miami, it's September now, and it's about 90-95 degrees outside, and I don't know what percent humidity it is, but it's usually topping the charts. And so we see that ideally I'd want to cross right here. This is an intersection, and if this had a crosswalk, this would be perfect. And we can see that there's people are waiting over there to cross in the middle. There's somebody behind this van doing exactly what I'm trying to prevent right now, because there is no crosswalk. But if you see, there is no real pedestrian place to stop there, so as a law-abiding pedestrian, I'm going to walk all the way to the crosswalk, because that's what I should do. So it's really hot in Miami, and I mean, just walking outside in a street during the summer, I mean, you'll start sweating within 5 minutes. And so expecting people to do what I'm about to do is rather unrealistic, and it's the reason why we need to have a couple of mid-block crossings along Brickell. The problem with Brickell is that we have, while on the east side we have these short blocks. You can see how this other block ends right here, and you know, normal sized city blocks, about 300 feet long approximately in average. The other side, the west side of Brickell, is one mega block that goes from southeast 13th Street all the way to southeast 10th Street. So literally that's about 1,000 feet, give or take, that one has to kind of go around because there's no crosswalks in the middle. So here we go, I'm going to cross the street. Again, one can see how bright and hot it is outside. And I'm still walking. I'm walking for over 2 minutes now. Keep in mind, I would have been there in under 30 seconds if I would have just crossed the street at the intersection missing a crosswalk. So here we can see people just crossing. Again, this person probably wanted to cross on the north end of the block, but there is no crosswalk on the north end of the block. All the intersections on Brickell Avenue have one crosswalk. And as a pedestrian, it becomes kind of unreasonable. Again, we can see there is no crosswalk here, and we can see how the pedestrian over there is crossing in the middle. We can see the distance I've already had to walk to that tower. So here we go, I'm gonna cross. Now I got a green light. You can see this van just rushing at me, honking his horn. Okay. You know, I was lucky I got the green light now, but you know, now usually you have to wait at a red light, and that adds about 3 minutes to the journey. So here we go. I finally reached the first crosswalk. Now keep in mind I've had to cross 3 or 4 streets. Now I'm going to push the button and wait. See how many people are kind of walking on the street here, right? There's a lot of people at that intersection. I mean, there's people everywhere. At the red light. At least the clouds came out now, so it's not so hot outside, but it's gonna last a couple minutes. Approaching 4 minutes now to do a journey that should have taken me 30 seconds. So I mean, halfway through this video now we can see why any logical pedestrian, or any person for that matter, or biker, would not go 4 blocks out of their way to just cross the street. In an urban area, we need to have intersections for pedestrians and crosswalks at logical intervals. At the very least, I should have been able to cross the street on the north side. But now I had to cross an additional intersection, putting myself more at risk. Here we see a car that's just inching up. not waiting, even though we're a few feet away. Here we go. Even though I started crossing right away, I didn't even make it across. It had already turned red and my timer ran out. So they're going, but I'm not gonna go because it's a red light. And we're gonna see how long this takes. Approaching 5.5 minutes. So a 100-foot journey has now turned into a possibly more than 1,000-foot trip. It is poor design like this that encourages people to drive their car rather than walk, or encourages the pedestrians to go across the middle of the intersection. Here we go. We waited. Sun is out again. So I came from that glass building right there, which I just zoomed into, and I wanted to go to this tall building up there, but being that there was no crosswalk, and I was tricked into going south because I saw intersections, yet they didn't have a crosswalk, I now have been walking for 6.5 minutes. So these mega blocks happen in two different places. They happen on southeast, between Southeast 10th Street and Southeast 13th Street. And it happens between Southeast 10th and Southeast 8th. The one between Southeast 8th and 10th being slightly shorter than the one I'm doing now. So I'm walking at a rather fast pace because it's pretty hot outside. We can see how many people take the middle of the intersection. There's nobody that's going from here to there is going to do what I'm doing. Here we go, approaching 7 minutes. And we can see that the architecture is quite urban. We can see stairwells on the street. We can see storefronts. We're going to approach a restaurant that's right on the street. And this is only going to continue happening. And as the architecture and the businesses become more and more urban, it is imperative that the redevelopment of Brickell Avenue take this into account. Okay, we're approaching 8 minutes. See how nice and pleasant this little spot is? So this is where I wanted to go, to the French bakery right over there. And we can see in 8 minutes, you can see that I was coming from right there. I could have, if this had a crosswalk right here as it should, I could have literally just walked across the street, and now I'd have to spend 8 minutes to cross the street. It's rather ridiculous. People are not going to do it. It's a Florida Department of Transportation fantasy. The Florida Department of Transportation needs to make sure that they are responsive to the needs of pedestrians as well as automobiles, and that includes putting crosswalks on both sides of the street at every intersection, not at random intersections. People, if not, are going to continue crossing the middle of the street, putting themselves at risk. So let's do what is right and provide the proper facilities for pedestrians. Okay, so now let's do the same trip, but let's just cross across the middle and see how long it takes. So I start walking out of the stairs. Oh, somebody's gonna do it with me. So we wait, cross the street, clear on both sides. Here we go. Wait for that last car to not have to run across the street. And here we go, walk into the office. And we are there.